Right, Sophie. Hello.
Hello, Anna. Nice to see you.
Really lovely to see you too. Just turn this. Yeah. Um, it's been, I think, when did I last? Oh, yeah, you came to the stand-ins gig, didn't you?
I did, yes. And that was that November, or am I getting my months mixed up?
I think it was before Christmas, certainly. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a few months ago. What did you
Anyway, it was a
think?
great gig. You sounded fantastic. John Hogg and I have worked together on and off for, gosh, 13 years or something. He and I used to have a trio, like a rock trio with Dizelle May on bass and
I
John
didn't.
on vocals and guitar. Yeah, it was great.
Why he hasn't mentioned that? Oh, I'd love to.
Oh,
So
he's
is that
obviously
something?
saving it up.
Oh, I don't know. I know he's doing his own thing now, but so from you saying that, it's obvious that you work in several different styles because I've met you, even though we didn't get to work together, but I've met you through. We were going to do a jazz gig together, weren't we?
We were, yes. And I'm sure we will.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it does. It's of course it's no surprise, but well, actually, it's a little bit of surprise that you said you did rock for 13 years because I've seen your jazz playing, and I also saw you with Dave McCarmont, which was fantastic. And
Yeah,
it's
he's
so
great.
the play you're playing is absolutely brilliant, and it's really, yeah, it's really they're both well. The Dave McCarmont gig was fantastic, so it's always interesting when you see a drummer, well, not just any musician excelling so much in one genre when they say that they have a few different things that they are equally passionate about. I mean, as a musician, I shouldn't be surprised because I am interested in different kinds of music, but to
Of
excel in
course.
different kinds of genres is another thing. So, what would you say? How's your process been? Has it? Did you start in rock then, or how did it come about?
No, well, okay, to go way back about 27 years now to when I discovered Stevie Wonder's music. I've spoken about this a bit, but Stevie Wonder is very dear to me. I've never met him. I'd love to. But when I was, well, I suppose about 11, I discovered Songs in the Key of Life and Inner Visions. And I listened
Incredible.
to those albums obsessively. You know, I was one of those slightly odd kids, I guess, who was just in their own little world. I had a Walkman. My parents had Songs in the Key of Life on vinyl and cassette, and they had Innovisions on cassette. And I
Innovation, yeah.
just,
Well, both of them actually. Well, most of his albums actually, but yeah.
but that's that golden period, you know, 1972 to 80, 81, where he was just, everything he touched was just phenomenal. And the range of styles and genres within his music. I mean, yeah, I didn't know I was learning to play jazz and odd time fusion and, you know, from things like Too High, Contusion on those Stevie Wonder albums. I didn't have a teacher. I just listened and I thought, oh, okay, does this sound kind of like what he's doing? I didn't even know Stevie was drumming on a lot of that stuff.
Well, of course, can we say he's a multi? Yes, just as you're saying that, I'm thinking, of
Yeah,
course, yes, he was drumming. He's a multi instrumentalist, isn't he? It is
he is.
extraordinary. And as you say, the well, the fusion of different styles that it incorporates his music. Quite a lot of some of the most all-time iconic musicians and artists that we love. They do introduce several styles into their music, don't they? And so was that? Did you say you said that was 11 or 12? So were you already
Yeah.
drumming by then?
No, I basically my parents who are still around, they love coming to my gigs when they can. They played a lot of diverse music, fantastic music, always, you know, it's a huge part of their lives. And it was when my brother and I were growing up. My brother was playing piano and he played to a very high standard, got a music scholarship and all that. So yes, he had a classical background and then learned about Scott Joplin and thought, oh, what's all syncopation? Oh, this is a bit more interesting. And so he was learning that, and occasionally he and I would do a little duet. I'd have pots and pans, or I'd make my own kits from cardboard boxes.
Well, this is going
And
back to like five or
classic.
six then, or I don't know, or seven or
Yeah, my parents say so. I don't remember, but yeah, it's just always been there, that sort of natural affiliation, I suppose, and a sense of rhythm and responding to all the different styles that my parents played at home. But Stevie Wonder was my first love. I felt like he was my
What an
discovery.
extraordinary first love to have.
Well,
How did
exactly.
anybody ever surpass that?
Well, that's the thing. I know the term genius is wildly overused from people who, do something silly on a reality TV show. But truly, Stevie Wonder, yeah, he really is a phenomenal talent. And
Yeah,
yeah, so I
absolutely.
was just lucky to discover him. So that was sort of, I suppose what I'm getting at is that just from playing along with his records, at that time it was those two records, you get to play a lot of different styles. And then,
Mm.
it was
So was it
Led
presumably then there
Zeppelin.
was a drum kit in the house, or were you still on the pots and
So,
pans?
okay, pots and pans, cardboard boxes, chopsticks. And then I think I my parents realized that there was something going on, and good for them. They said, well, how about we get you a drum kit? A little cheap secondhand thing, nothing fancy.
Mm.
And that was it. I suppose at 10 or 11 that happened.
Hmm. Yeah. And so playing along to Stevie Wonder, well, again, I suppose even though it does sound extraordinary that from what you're saying, you're pretty much self-taught up for a certain amount of
Yeah.
your childhood. I don't know how that could happen as a drummer, but not dissimilar to being to other musicians. There is that kind of osmosis, isn't there, where you if you've got a feel for something. I mean, if I played along to see Stevie Wonder at that age, with thinking about the drums, it really would have sounded like I was clacking around on a load of pots and pans.
Well, it
So
probably did.
no, I'm sure
I
it,
I don't know what it sounded like.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it didn't. Because I do think, as you said, if you kind of have a natural tendency towards something, not that it's always natural. It can, of course, there's plenty of very competent and successful and talented musicians where they didn't necessarily start in that way. But I think it's wonderful to hear that it was a natural progression for you and that it did come out of being self-taught. Because I was going to ask you about like your drum lessons, but from what you said, that's how it happened. So did it continue like that for a while then through your adolescence?
It did, yes. So I was a huge Rolling Stones fan in my mid-teens, and Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin. So yes, to answer the original question, I suppose there was a strong rock element, but then my parents were also playing blues and jazz.
Were they
Um,
musicians?
but no, they're not. They're antique dealers, but where they had an antique stand for many years, Antiquarius on King's Road in Chelsea, they had all the rock stars passing through. I mean, Charlie Watts from the Stones lived round the corner, and they've had Mick Jagger. They were going to sell some stuff to Mick Jagger. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's another sort of hero of mine, but I don't think he's a musician as well. That would be too much. But yeah, they had all the rockers sort of passing through.
Did you ever
From
meet any of them?
I met Charlie Watts a few times. He was a lovely guy,
Did
and Ronnie
you?
Wood.
Where did that
Yeah.
happen?
Well, Charlie used to do some jazz gigs at Ronnie Scott's and the 606, and I used to go to the 606 a lot. I played there about a week ago. I still love the place.
Yes.
But yeah, and Steve Ruby, the owner of the 606, introduced me to Charlie a couple of times, and he was a very quiet man, didn't like any fanfare about who he was. I think he was very embarrassed by it, actually, a very humble.
Well, how did it
um,
feel meeting? Because he's an icon, whether you're a
yeah,
drummer or not, actually. But for you, that must have felt fantastic.
it was. Yeah, I think I first met him. My mum dug out this photo when Charlie Watts died within the last 6 months. But I
Yeah.
first met Charlie when I was about 15 or 16, I think. He was very nice. Not much of a talker, because, as I said, he didn't like any sycophantic behavior about, oh, you're amazing.
No, absolutely
No, I
not.
just
No,
knew to
very
sort of keep
understated.
quiet and be respectful.
Did you feel
But
that you
he
were? Yeah.
he was a massive influence. So it was, you know what it's like. I mean, you've got an incredible CV. You've worked with a lot of people who you probably looked up to, like Tina Turner, I'm guessing, would be one that you look and think, wow.
Yes, absolutely. You do look and you kind of think, am I actually here sometimes with these people? And but it's also, you don't take it for granted, but when they're so lovely. And yes, and I actually supported the Rolling Stones with the Stereophonics, so we did meet them. Yeah, we met them, and but he's well known for being understated. He was, yeah. I mean, he's obviously he's no longer with us, sadly, but he was well known for being yeah, not the rock star off stage. So that was one of your formative influences. And then what did you, from that, did you go and formalize your training? I mean, it sounds like you've been
no, I'm still waiting to do that.
Oh.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
No, I never went to any. I think I went to music college for about a week. So that's really extraordinary, because I took a sneak peek at your website, if you don't mind. I hope you didn't mind. And
I don't mind. I need to update it because there's a lot to say. A lot has happened since I last updated that. But yeah.
And you're doing this fantastic jazz solo at the beginning, and I just that some of the most incredible talents are entirely self-taught, and that's why they hand out honorary degrees. You know, because not that it's about whether you are formally trained or not, but it's widely recognized when people they saturate that saturate what they're learning, and then they really still put the time in, and they have the passion and they have the discipline, and that's certainly evident in all of your playing, because from what I've seen of your playing, and then for what I saw briefly on your website before we started the interview, it just looks fantastic. I mean, we can share a bit if you want. Would you be up for that, or is it like, oh, I wasn't expecting
well,
that?
Sure, yeah, it's your choice.
Let's have a go and see if see what we've got here. I can show. So you're sophiealloway.com, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that's the Jay-Z, the Jay-Z thing that got banned everywhere.
Oh, why?
Oh, only because he's what is he worth? Billions of dollars. Never use someone's track when they're worth that much money, because he'll have lawyers who just shut down anything instantly. I still love the track though, it's great.
Oh dear. I hope I'm not gonna get into trouble by playing it.
That's why I couldn't use his name in the title, because it just kept getting taken down.
Right. Well, would you rather play something else?
No, I don't mind. Go for it.
Yeah. Or otherwise, I don't know why, because you had quite a few other ones.
Yeah, there are a lot there. I mean, there's a Foo Fighters cover. Basically, I get a lot of jazz gigs, and I know that there's more going on. So I've sort of focused on maybe recording a couple of rock things. This is all at home, where I am now, but my studio's just out that away. I've had that for a year. Well,
which one, looking at these ones, which one would you fancy that we had listed?
Yeah, so I've got a Spotify playlist of things that I've played on. Yeah. There's a real range there where you can play Shuffle Bubble or one of the videos. I don't mind, whatever.
Let's play a little bit.
Solo outro.
On to the next one.
Just 30-second snippets, yeah.
Oh, so it's just a little clip of.
But on Spotify, there's a whole playlist. I don't know how many tracks I've done for different people. But yeah, the first track was from the upcoming Lydian Collective album. It's out at the end of May, I think.
Oh, okay. So that sounds pretty updated.
The first one is there. Record, proper old style.
Oh, let's see if we can. I can't unless I stop sharing.
I'm just having a look.
All right. So
I mean, if you want, for a jazzy solo, you can just scroll up a little bit. Go up, up, up. And yeah, there's a third, 3 across, 1 down. It's like we're doing a crossword on a Saturday. This is nice. Yeah.
Okay. Play the whole, yeah. Fantastic.
Sophie Alloway. Sophie Alloway.
Oh,
that was right before the pandemic hit. March, no, it was maybe February 2020 or March. And then we know the rest.
Yes, we do know the rest, but I didn't know that. I haven't heard that solo. I'm speechless. That sounded absolutely phenomenal, Sophie.
That was just a load of old nonsense, really, but it's fun.
Well, if that's what you call a load of old nonsense, God help the rest of us.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet. And I was just thinking there are a couple of names I need to mention regarding my development. Well, actually, a lot of people have been very kind, but although I'm largely self-taught, Ian Thomas, I saw you did your tour with Tom Jones, so Ian, Steve Pearce, Jodie Lynn Scott, maybe
yes.
Zintia was singing, I can't remember, but great band and lovely people.
Mm-hmm.
But Ian Thomas was incredibly kind to me. I met him when I was 17 or 18, and he was doing an ITV show, and I just happened to be there, not working, and I saw him in the corridor. I said, "Excuse me, are you Ian Thomas?" Because I'd seen him with Hamish Stewart at the 606. And he said, "Yeah." I think he was a bit surprised to be recognised in a corridor at ITV. And he basically
Ian Thomas. I think I know
nickname Yanto.
That's right. Yeah, that's how I know.
Yeah, I just call him Ian. But
yeah, that was his name.
No, he invited me round because he had a studio up in Golders Green in his back garden, and he'd set up 2 drum kits, and he was so kind to me. I mean, I was sort of confident, but not very well developed because I was just self-taught and I didn't know about rudiments. I couldn't read music, any of that stuff. And he sort of took me under his wing. He did it with a lot of young drummers as well, and was so kind for several years. And he's still one of my favorite players. So he was helpful. Richard Coles was a local teacher that I had some lessons with. And people like Mark Mondesi, Winston Clifford, they're all very kind to me.
Okay, all right. So you've had some at different times in your development. You've had some fantastic teachers, and
yes,
I do remember him. That was a fantastic tour, and he's a brilliant drummer. Absolutely,
he is. Yeah.
So what have you been? So you said did you say you've been really busy in the last 6? I mean, you always, from when we were trying to organize the interview, when you said the few things you're doing, I think it's fantastic. So you've remained quite busy over since lockdown, or how has it been for you?
I have, yes. I mean, my memory is that, I sort of managed to keep working through the pandemic. Now, having just done my tax return, because I'm my own accountant, I actually love it. I love doing the databases and everything. I was looking and thinking, gosh, that diary for, mid-March onwards, where are we? 2020? Yeah. It was just things crossed out one after the other, as you very well know. We all know that. So I think I've got slight rose-tinted glasses, and looking through the diaries was a reality check. But the the run up to that, I mean, the few days before London lockdown, I remember I had 2 gigs on Friday. What was it? Maybe it was Friday the 13th. Gosh, it could have been in March. One was at Ronnie's, and then Saturday I did 2 gigs, the second of which was at Ronnie's, and then Sunday had a final hurrah, and that was it. I think it was Sunday the 15th.
Yeah. Did you take to, I've got a couple of musicians that, did you take to streaming? Have you got, like, I think you said you got a home studio?
Yeah, that was finished in at the end of July that year. So it had always been a plan, but you know, I wish I'd had it when I was in my 20s, but you can never afford it when you're in your 20s. So you have to wait till your late 30s and then it's fine. But yeah, so I did some recording there, and there were live streams at the 606 and several sort of jazz venues in town. So I was able to do that. But
all right, so you did, yeah, you got in. So what would you, I'm just having a look, because normally I just kind of go off piste and just ask what comes up in the conversation, but I am looking at some of these. I mean, I love that you said that you are, yes, you just paid tribute to the teachers that you did have, but what would you say is the uniqueness, or what do you think it takes to become a unique drummer? Because I bet you've got some styles that going on with you because you are self-taught.
I'd imagine so. I mean, it's tempting to think what would have happened if I'd gone to music college, if I had more conventional training, and this idea of, oh, you'd just be like another drummer on the conveyor belt. Well, I'm not sure. By the way, you didn't say that. That's just something that I've thought occasionally, like, why do we all need to be the same? But everyone's got something to offer, haven't they? And
I didn't go to college.
You didn't, I know, and there are a few of us left, but with the younger generation, you know, it just seems to be what people do. You know, they definitely all go to university or they all go to college, no matter what they're going into. It's, I don't know. Whereas back when I was younger, you thought, oh, I think I'm going to be a drummer, and that's what happened. And I'm just going to make it happen.
Well, yes, exactly. That's kind of, I know there's such a naive confidence in that. I did exactly the same. I mean, here I am being a singer, but there was that. Yeah. I'm quite. Thankfully, I had that naive confidence, because if I'd anticipated some of the challenges ahead, and I'd known the full extent of different things that can come up and down, I probably still would have done it. But I don't know if I would have done it with such naive confidence that it was going to be fine. Have you focused more on the live than the recording, or have you done both? I
think over the years as a whole. So my first, I say professional gig, I don't remember earning much cash from it, to be honest, but I got the house drum chair, sort of, you know, playing the house band at a jam session just in a pub in Lambeth. And that was the day after my 18th birthday. And so that's 20 years ago. I don't mind saying that. We're all friends here. And that was great experience. I did that for pretty much 7 years and met loads of musicians.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that was a really good sort of grounding for playing jazz standards. So I went and did that. But yeah, so mainly live work, but I do studio work. I mean, I've actually just this week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I was up in Manchester filming. It's a new Adrian Dunbar crime. Yes, he's lovely, great voice as well, but super nice guy. And we recorded the music for this up at Air Studios a month ago. Jazz trio, and then Adrian did the vocals for it, and then we were filming it for a few days this week. The idea is that he's a retired detective who gets drawn back into it, solving a case, but he also co-owns a jazz club. Hooray!
Yeah. So was that one shooting, or were you going to go and do some more? Or how's it going?
I mean, he's doing that. He started in December, and it'll wrap at the end of April. That's the first 4 episodes. It's going to be Ridley, and apparently it's 9 p.m. on a Sunday on ITV.
So were you in shot? Presumably you must have been.
Yeah, because there are scenes at his jazz club in Bolton. That's where we filmed it, Manchester in Bolton. And yeah, so I'm in the first 2 episodes so far, non-speaking, just playing the tunes, and then there'll be episodes 3 and 4 filmed soon, and we'll see if it gets renewed.
That sounds fantastic. I remember you said you were going to do that. So it's quite a variety as a musician, similar with me, that while still doing sessions. I mean, I tend to do Duran mainly now, and not so many sessions, but you still do. Well, I started doing the jazz circuit a little bit, but you still do a lot of different sessions, right?
I do, yeah. I mean, so the gigs, like last night, I was playing with Alex Webb and Carol Thompson, Joe Harrop, a wonderful young singer, Freddie Benedict. He was great. Really good band as well, because I did the album about a year ago, British Standard Time, featuring a lot of British composers. So I was doing that last night, and then Thursday night, by the way, it's Saturday if we're watching on different days, I was up in Birmingham doing the Pizza Express venue with Shez Raja. Super funky fusion, slight Indian influence in it. It's really interesting.
So how did that come about? Did you incorporate that in the playing?
Oh, as in, did I have the tablas? Oh, he normally has a tabla player as well. So I'm just playing funky drums on a good day. But yeah, it's just sort of quite heavy.
Well, I'm curious just how that would. Well, I'm excited also as a musician to hear how that would gel together. And do you get like that as well? Do you? What kind of excites you in terms of innovative music that's out there? As you said, that you've been eclectic in your influences. What's kind of new that's coming out, or what kind of gets you excited? Well, I know Stevie Wonder does. What is there anything at the moment?
Yes, this new kid born in 1950, Stevie Wonder. Yeah, that.
Well, I mean,
I'm not
amazing. It's always going.
No, he's still out there doing it. I'm not the best at discovering young talent unless I'm working with them. You know, I'm certainly not someone who spends a lot of time on YouTube watching videos. When I'm not working or learning stuff, I like to go out, play tennis, spend an hour and a half in the gym.
Do you have? Yes. Is it kind of a myth that I would have thought when I've seen people doing obviously playing, when they're doing all that they have to, do you have to do an hour and a half in the gym, or is the drums enough? Or is it just because you enjoy? Yeah, because obviously it is a very physical instrument, isn't it? It must be much easier if you're fit.
It is,
or is it
but
not
then
really
I don't want to get into troubled water here. But a lot of my favorite players are not super fit. I mean, I don't mind saying I had a nice.
No, I'm sorry. I'm kind of always thinking. I put you in an awkward position.
No, that's fine. No, but I saw Jeremy Stacey play. He's one of my favorite drummers, and I think you probably did a stand-in thing with him a month ago. Did you? Yeah. So anyway, I love Jeremy Stacey, and I was watching him playing with John Hogg, and I had done a gig with John Hogg and Paul Stacey recently playing the rock stuff.
Well, it's a great workout.
Yeah, and Jeremy was just hammering the drums, but always with great groove. You know, he's not just a meathead at all. He's a very fine jazz drummer, great studio drummer, fantastic, very much an all-rounder. But I just thought I could never play like that because I just couldn't. And it's fine. We have to accept that there are natural differences when we're built a certain way. It's not necessarily just gender, but you know, I'm 5'4", not huge, but I work hard. But Jeremy was saying he can find it tricky physically as well, and I was saying because I do it a different way, but it's really important to me. I eat well, stay fit, and I just we've all had heroes who have fallen by the wayside to other things and maybe not being very fit. And I just decided years ago, right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to eat well, no drink, no drugs. Of course, that you can do that quite happily and be successful. But
Yeah.
it's just what I wanted to do.
Yeah, so you're saying regardless, absolutely, regardless of what instrument you're playing, you would have, that's your decision in life anyway. But I also appreciate what you just said about the physicality, the way that Jeremy is, and actually, and that's not, there could be some, you're built differently. There may be another woman that was playing the drums that was built differently to you, that would play differently to you, and so it's not as simple as it just being gender. And so I totally appreciate that. Having said that, I do wonder. I mean, you mentioned a few of the drummers that the other female drummers that you're aware of, and I wonder how that is for you. Maybe it's not dissimilar to, again, being a singer, but predominantly you will presumably be working with men in most of your gigs, and how that is for you. I suppose it's all you've ever known.
It is. I mean, you and I could talk about this at length, I'm sure, because it would have been the same for you. But no, there are a lot more.
Slightly different, because often I'd have another singer with me, and not often another female. So I'm not.
Yeah. So there are at least two of you sort of in your little world on stage.
Yeah, a bit like, the horn lineup as well. There's usually a few. Yeah. Whereas for you, you're the core member of the band. Is it a big deal, or is it just not really a big deal?
No, it's not a big deal. I mean, sometimes I think things can be a big deal if you make it so.
Yeah.
And I suppose I was always a little bit of a tomboy anyway. I have a brother, get on equally well with both my parents. So, and I went to a mixed primary school and then a girls' secondary school, which I didn't enjoy as much, just because I quite like the banter and the humor, and it's a different dynamic. So it was very natural to me to then go into playing with a lot of guys. And regarding any sexism, no, I can be very positive about that. I've had so few issues over the years, and just met lovely people. Everyone's open-minded, and so what people say behind my back is different, but I doubt there's much of that going on. I think
no, and it's such a unifier, isn't it, music, when you get a band together, because people do just really have that appreciation of the music as a group of people, regardless of gender, and really want to deliver that on stage. So that kind of, that's at the forefront, really, even though it might not be a conscious thing. Well, your playing is phenomenal, and I thank you for giving credit to some of the people that have taught you along the way. But from the fact that you're largely self-taught as well, I do have to hand it to you that I think it's really, it just really sounds wonderful. And thank you so much for doing the interview today, Sophie.
Thank you, Anna. Great to speak to you.
Yeah,
I'd like to speak to you about your career, but that's another episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. But hopefully see you at a gig. Hopefully we'll be back doing something, and we can have a gig together. That would be really good fun.
That would be fantastic. Well, I'm sure it'll happen. It just depends. You've been out with Duran Duran, haven't you? I heard a lovely Radio 2 set.
Yes, yeah, that was pretty recently. Just before. Just
a month or two ago.
Yeah, what was December? Yeah.
Oh, okay. They've only just put it out in the last month, but yeah, it sounded fantastic. I bet that's good fun.
Oh, it is. It's great fun. Well, you'll know yourself, when we do the traveling, but if you get a good group of people, then you stick with them, don't you?
Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah, so. And it shows in the music, because you've got that kind of. Well, actually, no. That's a different conversation as well, because from doing the jazz gigs, I love the way that you'll have that's often a different set of people, and then as soon as the music kicks in, everyone's just on it. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's lovely.
Of course, no, it's such a powerful thing, and we're very lucky to be involved. I always say that I'm so lucky to have found this thing and all these wonderful people. It's great, and I hope to be doing it until I'm 108, but you never know.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think I have asked you actually, are there any challenges that you find I think I might have asked in relation to something specific, just I don't know, about 5 minutes ago. But is there anything that you find challenging as an independent creative?
Oh, so this is nothing to do with gender,
No,
which I'm
no,
very
no.
positive about. No, I mean, just for me, managing the diary, trying to turn up to everything on time with a good attitude, remembering everyone's names and, knowing the material, being prepared, all that stuff, from one day to the next. It doesn't feel like a challenge, but there are times, and there's something else going on in life as happens. And yeah, it's sort of hard to be completely on the money every day or whenever I need to be.
You're your own boss, aren't you? And being self-employed, that's the case. And actually, from the business side, would you say that there's anything that you find challenging in terms of generating work or marketing, any of that kind of thing? Or is marketing something you don't even think about?
The thing is, because I'm not an artist, so I don't have an album in my own name. I'm just, I used to say sideman, but I'm not, I'm a side woman.
Nothing to the side about your playing.
No, but what I mean is, like, all my heroes, Steve Gadd, Jeff Porcaro, they worked for a lot of different people. Jeff Tain Watts, they've done a range of work. So in that sense, I just work for whoever calls. But if I was an artist, there would be more challenges, if I had an album out in my name. But the fact that I'm, people say, can you do this session? This is the fee, this is the date, these are the times. Yes, no, that's as complicated as it gets.
And then you can leave all the complicated, incredible improvisation for when you actually start playing. So you keep everything else as simple as possible. And it does.
Hopefully,
it sounds just fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you, Anna. The diary management can be a little bit tricky. It's just me on my own, no fixer, no agent. But there can be clashes with dates, definitely, where I have to sort of juggle. But
that's a great indication of how busy you are. So at least that's although it can be a bit of a because you want to be focusing on the playing, don't you? And you don't want to have to do that stuff. But
there's a lot of admin. There are lots of unanswered emails, messages, which I'm sorry for anyone who's done that on Facebook or Instagram. I have to drop out of that to really focus on playing well sometimes.
So what's coming up for you this year, playing wise, or in the next? You said that series is coming out at 9 p.m. That's going to on Sunday.
I think that'll be in the autumn, but I'll do episodes 3 and 4 probably in March. We're recording the music, I think, early March up at Air Studios.
That's going to be exciting.
Going up there. The new Lydian Collective album is coming out, I think, at the end of May. I'm recording some final tracks with Wildcard. I'm actually doing some dates with Jay Rayner, the Radio 4 and MasterChef guy. He's great. He's a real hoot.
Right, okay.
We've got an 80s jazz project, so a lot of pop artists who, like Sade springs to mind, great songs with a sort of jazzy element, doing those.
That sounds fabulous. Where are they going to be at? Or maybe is there...
I've got my little pink diary. So we're at King's Place on the Thursday, the 24th of February. It'll be a good laugh. He's a very funny guy, great stories.
I'll come down. If I'm here, I'll come down. 24th of February. And I'll stick your website at the top of the interview as well. And if there's any other dates that you've got coming up that you want
there are massive. I'm just going through the diary. There are a lot of dates, and with Lee John from Imagination, that's coming up. More with Shez Raja and various things at Ronnie Scott's and jazz venues, and then with Gala, the pop singer, Freed from Desire singer. I'm going away with her.
Got so much going on, Sophie. So is that going to be on your website? Will you put the dates on your website? Oh, that's
probably not.
Oh, no, all right. Okay.
Okay. Here's an interesting thing. I don't put my gig dates up because I had some, there we go, this is about being a female player. There were some slightly strange experiences, and I thought it might not be wise to broadcast where I'm going to be and when, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess there is an element that I sort of forget about, but that's incredibly rare. And yeah, so I don't put up lists of where I'm going to be. But people tag me, and that's fine.
Right, okay. If there's any other dates, if people hear those dates from the web, from this interview, then that's fine. But also, yeah, text me some of the dates as well, because it'd be great to try and make one of them for sure. And I'll put
there's
them at
loads
the
of
top
stuff
the interview
coming
as
up.
well.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
lovely to see you there. And if I'm
Yeah.
doing anything else with John Hogg, Paul Stacey, yeah, that would be good fun. But I don't know about that.
Yeah, text me some of the dates, Sophie, because I'll definitely put them at the top of the interview. And thanks so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. It's lovely to chat to
Chatting
you.
to you. Yeah, and yeah, hope to see you at one of your gigs, hopefully.
I hope so.
All right then. Take
All
care.
right, thanks a lot. You too.
Bye.
Bye.